Hello everyone and welcome back to Not Too Late. After taking 2 weeks off from the show, I'm feeling rejuvenated and ready to make some great episodes for you all. Now before we get the show fully in motion, I need to talk to you about something that happened to me over spring break. Every year I go down to the panhandle of Florida and spend a week on the beach relaxing with my friends and family. This break started off super well and I was having a great time with my family, but that all changed when I went to get ice cream with my brother. We went to an ice cream shop and bought our ice cream without incident, but as we were walking back to our house, a gang of hooligans and rabble-rousers rode their bikes past us. Let me preface by saying that these kids were at most in the 8th grade, but they looked like they were probably around 12, so 6th, 5th grade. As they rode by, I heard a girl at the back of the biker gang from hell say, "Watch this," to her friends. For some reason, I thought she was going to do a cool trick or something, but I was severely mistaken. As she bikes past me, I hear a sound like someone clearing their throat, and then, yep, me, a 19-year-old college student, got made subordinate by, you guessed it, a 12-year-old girl. There's not much you can do about that situation as a legal adult, but sit there and ponder your existence, which I did. Standing there with a 12-year-old spit on my face and in my mint chocolate chip ice cream, I asked myself, am I a failure? And I asked, what horrible God would allow this suffering? It was only 9 p.m., but I went right home and went to bed, because what else was I going to do? There was nothing I could do to fix that day. The only option was to go to bed and to pray for a better tomorrow. Now, I know some of you may have had a bad spring break experience. Maybe you got a sunburn or got a little too drunk and embarrassed yourself in front of a cute guy. But you should all keep in mind that while those pains are temporary, the shame of that 12-year-old spit will last forever. We got a great show for you tonight. Some people from TEDx Indiana University are here, so without further ado, let's get this show started. Hey Katie, do you have any idea when we get back from the intro video? You don't know. Shouldn't I be sitting in my seat for when we get back? No? All right. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. No, it's all right. Take your time, sure. Yeah. We're not paying for this hourly or anything. You look? Of course you're watching. All right. One thing it seems that everyone who attends IU has in common is funny roommate stories. To showcase this, every week I'm going to read a roommate story sent in by one of you. To get your story on the show, just DM our Twitter at IUSTV Not Too Late. Our story this week comes from an anonymous viewer who said, "My roommate is an insomniac, so he has unusual sleep patterns. I wouldn't have a huge problem with it if it weren't for the fact that his choice late night snack is kettle-cooked chips. I find myself waking up at 3 a.m. to the loud crunch of a whole bag of potato chips on the bunk above me. I don't want to get mad at him because he has a condition, but why can't he eat something quieter like pudding instead?" Well, my friend, if you let him know your problems, maybe he'll switch up his food choice. Then you could get some more sleep and start feeling chipper again. Now it's time to give all of you your weekly news updates with our What's Up IU, where we keep you informed on all the big news stories that are making waves in Indiana. Bluebell ice cream is back on the shelves in Indianapolis after a 3-year hiatus due to a nationwide listeria recall. For those of you who don't know, listeria is a bacteria that can cause fever, muscle aches, and diarrhea. Now that the ice cream is back, I can't wait for new flavors like ooey gooey chocolate. Although I'm not sure if that name is describing the actual ice cream or if it's describing what's going to come out the other end. With a large crow population in Bloomington, students have complained about the nuisance of the noise and overall creepiness of the crows. So the IU facilities operations team has implemented a noise-making device to drive them away. Because what better way to get rid of a creepy, loud animal than a device that emits creepy and loud sounds randomly across campus? That being said, I haven't gotten crapped on by a machine yet. In reoccurring news, the city of Carmel, Indiana has officially approved plans to move forward with the construction of the city's first mosque. Though the proposed blueprints have been approved by the city, many of Carmel's more outspoken citizens still oppose building the mosque. though they have tried to make it clear that this is not a racist thing. Sure, Carmel, just like the Civil War was about states' rights and not that other thing. On Monday, March 19th, around 3 p.m., Indiana state troopers stopped a purple 1999 Plymouth driving 110 miles per hour in a 55-mile-per-hour zone. The police arrested the driver, Edward Moore, who stands accused of doubling the speed with a suspended license while drunk. This may seem bad, but looking at his mugshot, it's obvious that the defendant's spirits are high. On March 16th, a 19-year-old Indiana man was arrested only an hour after taking a cab to and from a bank robbery. The culprit made his demands by passing notes to the bank tellers and paid off his taxi driver with the cash from the heist. The craziest part of this story, to me, is that somebody finally picked a cab over taking an Uber. On March 19th, a 53-year-old man crashed into the sample gates while driving with a blood alcohol content of more than twice the legal limit, according to the IU Police Department. After driving through the gates, the man continued to drive through campus until eventually stopping north of Franklin Hall. After causing damage in the range of $10,000 to $25,000, I can only hope he made it to his class on time. Last week, a woman was arrested after stealing 2 vibrators from the adult entertainment store Cirilla's. One vibrator was valued at $39, while the other one was valued at $56. There's no evidence that she was under any influence during the crime, but if you ask me, she had to be at least a little bit buzzed. That's all we have in IU News today. Now, before we get to our guest, let's look at a field segment this week where Olivia set out to accomplish even more IU bucket list goals. Let's check it out.
I'm Olivia Pavage and I'm ready for another set of bucket list items. Let's go! Run! Look at the squirrel!
Hello, everyone. We are back with our guest from TEDx Indiana University. Now, before we start, which one of you is Ted?
That'd be me.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Ted. All right.
And I'm X.
You're X? Oh, very nice to meet both of you. So tell me a little bit about the TEDx IU program and what all you guys do here.
Sure. So TEDx IU is sort of a spin-off of obviously the TED Talks that we all know and love, one of tens of thousands of TEDx groups across the world. But here at TEDx IU, we just are a student group. We organize a TED conference every year, but our broader goal is just really a student org that really connects different parts of campus. You know, there's Investment Banking Club, there's Model United Nations, IU Student TV, and there's all these great specific interests, but we just kind of hope to be that one that everyone can have a part in.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit more about the annual event that you hold, the one that you held last October specifically?
Yeah, so last October was our flagship conference. The theme was Uncharted Waters, almost blanked on the theme. And we had a great array of speakers. We had 8 speakers, some were international, is from another country, that's what international means. And one of them was, to my memory, was Andrew Weber. Andrew Weber was the former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Nuclear, Chemical, and Biological Programs. So basically, he was the guy in the government that oversaw our nuclear weapons for 5 years. Great guy, totally chill, for given what his past job was. He gave a talk just about the importance and prevalence of nuclear weapons and just how it affects all of us when we may not think it does. October event was great, and of course we had newcomers, people just to hear ideas they normally wouldn't think about, whether it's something as general as empathy or something as specific as weapons of mass destruction.
Interesting. So how far ahead does the planning for this event start?
So we start like in the spring mostly.
Yeah, I came in, I'm a freshman intern, so I just heard about this organization, and we're having meetings, twice a month, and already they're planning ahead, and I'm just like, wait, when's this event again? And it's next October, so there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah, generally in the spring is when we're all running around and preparing for the fall.
Yeah. So you said you don't have any speakers, but can you give us any little hints as to what a theme might be for this upcoming event in 2018?
I should have consulted my exec board on that. You know what?
It's okay if you can't. I understand.
I guess I can't, but how about this? It'll be one that's not been like most of our other themes. Yeah, very vague, I know.
All right. So have either of you ever given a TED Talk yourself or anything similar to a TED Talk or tried?
To try would definitely be not to succeed. After seeing, we watch all these great TED Talks, and so doing one ourselves, I have not attempted such a thing, but I've given school speeches and the like, but.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some speaking engagements. I think TEDx specifically in high school, in 11th grade at our high school conference, I gave a speech there.
What was it about?
You'll like this one. It was about how polarized politics are.
Interesting.
It was 2013. Little did I know.
Little
did I know.
So do you have a favorite TED Talk that's been done at IU, or just overall, just have a personal favorite TED Talk to watch?
Yeah, I have to think about that for a minute, actually. You have a specific on top of your
Specific
head?
one on the top. Well, actually, I just watched one recently, actually as part of this organization that was analyzing charities and how everything that we assume about charities is actually incorrect, and that we really need to reevaluate how we're going about nonprofits and with changing the world. So just very general civic engagement, that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Cool. It's a great
Come
one.
up with something?
I think one of the most important TED Talks I've ever seen was by an educational psychologist named Angela Duckworth. She talked about a really important trait of developing grit in children in schools. Education policy is really dear to me, so I was watching that, and basically her message was that when we look at schools, we can think about the teachers, we could think about the funding, curriculum, everything, but a really important interpersonal and psychological trait we should be developing in kids to make them just great adults is grit, and just sort of that ability to keep persevering regardless of what resources are available to you or what you don't succeed in. It was really interesting.
Interesting. All right, so TEDx has a great tradition of bringing out the best speakers the community has to offer. Thanks to this lovely group, we get to see those. But what if we made those speakers give a TED Talk without having any context whatsoever? That's what I've decided to do today. Theoretically, it's like they made a PowerPoint, they got all ready, but then they hit their head, so they forgot everything that they're going to say. So today we're going to play our game Impromptu TED Talk. Some of our writers have set up 2 PowerPoints that none of us have seen before, and myself and then both of them are going to give a TED Talk of our own based on the PowerPoint slides we are shown. I'm going to start us off, but then after that, these 2 are going to team up and then trade off every slide. So let's get that going. All right. My TED Talk today is about applying yourself, not only in the world, but in interpersonal conflicts and relationships. Kind of like how water intermingles with itself and connects. You need to intermingle and connect with the world. So one of the best ways to connect with the world is to believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, you share something in common with everyone else around you, and it's that you want yourself to survive and succeed, much like how everyone else wants to survive and succeed. Next slide, please. All right, so you have to think about this in a situation where you don't fully understand what's going on. Kind of like if a horse ran into a giraffe. They're two very different animals. One of them, very tall neck, lives mostly in Africa. Other one, most on prairies, like places in Kansas. You have to think about it like that. While you may be the stallion, you're faster, you have some advantages. You're more likable, you're more well-known. But then there's the giraffe who has the advantage. They can get the higher up fruit. You need to think about your life in that way, where you need to understand that some people have advantages that you don't have, and you have advantages that others don't have. Next slide. All right, so one of those disadvantages is that people can die, specifically infants, from the years 1880 to 1890 or 1934. You got to look at yourself and say, "Wow, I'm stronger than those infants because I'm no longer an infant and I'm still alive." You got to realize that your advantage is that you did not die as a baby. That's one advantage that all of us who are no longer babies can share. Next slide. So I'm going to go to one of my favorite philosophers. His name's Mewtwo. Yeah, he's fake. He's a video game character. But what we need to look at is that he said, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." Now, like I said, we were all born. We all made it past infanthood, unless there's a baby watching this, in which case you could do it, I believe. But you got to realize that how you were born is irrelevant. It is what you do that makes your life real, and that's how you apply yourself in the world. Next slide. So one situation like this is, of course, the Oscar farce that happened last year with La La Land. So they went up, they said, Oscar for Best Movie goes to La La Land. And then they came up and said, oh, no, it goes to Moonlight. But what they forgot to tell you is that that was a second fake envelope. And it was truly supposed to go to the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2. Now, I got to tell you, I was furious as a viewer because I knew that that film deserved it. And so I applied myself to start campaigning, to start telling people, this is wrong. We need to give the Oscar to the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2, which I agree is even better than Christmas Vacation 1. Next slide. So right there, you'll see a picture of me wearing some Olaf pajamas that say, "I love warm hugs," holding, I believe, $100. And then, of course, the Not Too Late logo. And what that is to show you is that I started from nothing. I started a baby. I didn't have any clothes because you're not born with clothes on. Didn't have any hair because some babies are born bald. But then I built myself, and I was able to purchase myself a pair of Olaf pajamas. And with that money that I won from a contest, I decided to come to IU with that $100 because I guess that's how much college costs now. And then I started this show. I convinced somehow to let people give me this medium to create entertainment. Next slide. All right, so in the wise words of Christopher Walken, in the Needs More Cowbell sketch, he said, "I'm walking here." But the question is, where is here? Where are we? Where are any of us? Now, I know me personally. I'm in college. I'm at Indiana University. I'm in radio and TV. But you need to go out and ask yourself, who are you? Where are you? And do you need more cowbell? Next slide. So I like to use a metaphor, an analogy, if you will. The world is round, much like a pancake. The world is full of sweetness, much like a pancake. But if you get the world and you experience the world too much, you may get sick and you may throw up. If you apply yourself properly in this world, you won't make like somebody with too many pancakes. Instead, you will be able to eat the perfect amount, and you'll be able to make it in the world. You'll be able to apply yourself right. Can I get my final slide? All right, so that is a mathematical equation. If fx equals ax squared plus b, and f5 is 8, and f5 is 19. All right, so what this is symbolic of is how I may not have the skills to do this, but because I'm in such a great world, such a large world, there's got to be somebody out there who can figure this out. Like how if you can't apply yourself, or if you can't figure out how to exist in this world, you'll be able to find somebody who can help you and give you the assistance you need. That's my TED Talk on applying yourself. Thank you very much. All right.
Well done. That was good.
Thank
That's
you
a lot
very
to live
much.
up to.
All
be
right,
honest.
it's your turn.
Okay.
It's 2 versus 1 though, so
It is
we
2
might have a
versus
bit of
1,
an
so I-
advantage.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to be presenting today on how to build your future, because everyone needs to look forward, and everyone does indeed have a future, hopefully. And so as you can see, there's a lot of violence in this world, a lot of explosions happen all the time, different countries, hopefully not as many in America. And so we need to embrace, next speaker, no. Oh, okay. So we just need to embrace each other and hold on to each other and realize that together we can build from the bottom.
Yes,
And
from the
now we're
bottom.
here.
Next slide, please. But most importantly, regardless of what situation you're in and working together with other people, you have to realize none of it will be possible without dogs, plain and simple. You have dogs underwater, you have dogs on grass, dogs in space, and dogs on the beach, dogs in parks. And when you're starting from the bottom, dogs are going to be there regardless of regardless of the environment that you're starting in. So never forget your best friend is going to help you with that. Next slide, please.
So not only is dogs important in life, but passion, all kinds of passion, whether it's for other people, whether it's for ice cream, whether it's anything that comes between that, you really have to find what you love and just pursue it. And it can be dogs, but there's so many different avenues. Personally, food, that's always a good one. I really agree with women, that generous looking, that old looking women who's enjoying a popsicle, summer treats, but also on the other side of that, you have a whole different spectrum of passion, which that can also help build your future. And finding that kind of connection in your life, those people that you can draw close to you, very close to you, that can help. Next slide.
And you know, continuing on the scope of this wide spectrum, we also need to consider from a plano perspective. This wide spectrum could be flat, or it could be spherical. And that will really shape the different ways you think about it. Your relationships with dogs, the environment you grew up in, your different passions, it could all just be sort of one-sided and flat and have one meaning. But when you work with other people and other pets across different passions and different spectrums, consider it and how they all connect to each other in one sphere. But part of you should just always question, maybe it is flat, either way. Maybe it's all flat. It could be looked at either way.
Very true. So, as much as I do respect this opinion, there is honestly a deeper story to this. And what is that a picture of?
Bitcoin.
A Bitcoin? Oh, that makes sense. Well, considering I don't invest in myself, obviously I really need to build my own future. But we really need to be looking not on a flat level, but on a global level of technology, because that is really where the future is. And as much as we appreciate these local connections, when we invest in Bitcoin, when we advance ourselves through technology, honestly, leave your puppies at home, guys. This is the future.
But hey, you know, Bitcoin is going to be used by different people across different countries and cities and provinces and prefectures. It's going to be really important you learn fundamental Chinese scriptures. So aside from, you know, dogs and the cryptocurrency or blockchain or what have you, the most important thing at the end of the day is that you perfect your kanji strokes. There is a proper stroke order to everything you write in Chinese, and you need to get it right, people.
True. So not even is language important, but just being able to journey through more philosophical regions. And it's not even I understand what you're saying, that there's a very certain technique to it. But on the other hand, we really have to expand our brains to be able to conceive flying creatures. The water bear, for instance, I know it's not a very heard of animal, but when we combined both an animal that can live on land and then apply the water to it, when we take the different elements of our lives and combine them, we unlock a whole new way of understanding the mysteries of our universe.
But at the end of the day, you know, people, squids, dogs, Chinese characters, water bear dogs, everything is going to be just a fine work of art like we have up here. It's most important that regardless of how you decide to go about this world with whatever person or animal or dog bear is by your side, regardless of what plane or perspective you're approaching this world in, you need to make it presentable, beautiful, and a true work of art, an absolute masterpiece. Almost like you just slapped a squid on a paper. It has to be that good.
And so continuing on to that, not only do we have to be good with art, with friendships, with creating things, we have to be able to master the basic building blocks that allow us to build our future and to move forward. And that starts with none other than tying your shoes. A lot of people think that this is an easy process, but when you're a kid, nobody knows how to do that. And for instance, with the squid that we saw last time, if any of people in the audience are familiar with SpongeBob, they have an entire song dedicated to learning how to tie your shoes. And when we teach our children this kind of rhetoric, that's what lets kids know how to build their future. And that's what's most important.
But hey, if I could just digress, it's important we do talk about life and talk about the perspectives, the planes, the children's TV shows, but in humanity, there are a lot of topics that have continued to be debated when they just need to end. The debate must end. And one of those important things that Ping and I truly believe the debate needs to be over is LMFAO and Tupac Shakur and the Beatles. Tupac Shakur and the Beatles, it's just a blip on the national music radar. It's a blip on the music radar of humanity. And the fact of the matter is that LMFAO, clearly better. They used the dogs, they used the squids, they looked at things from a flat perspective. I mean, they only released one track, clearly, and that was a huge success. They were able to take all of their complex thoughts and make it into one singular work of art, the equivalent of a squid on a piece of paper. Not like Beatles or 3-Pac, 4-Pac or whatever, who released several great albums across a long period of time and integrate. I'm tired already. Point is LMFAO, clearly more of a success.
So I understand that the music industry, that has been very, very important to us. And not even is music important, but just being able to play games, to have that kind of connection. And I would just like to turn our attention to rock, paper, scissors. If you are familiar with the game, it involves a rock, it involves paper, and it does involve scissors. I know. And these three elements, when you combine them, you compete with other people, you are creating a very intimate connection with being able to create a better future for yourself, because how else do you advance besides playing rock, paper, scissors with your best friend and building your future through rock, paper, scissors? I think we should just leave it at that, honestly. Ready? Let's rock, paper, scissors. Ted wins. What can I say?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Did you guys enjoy yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is quite the TED Talk.
Honestly,
Really
best
good.
one I've ever heard. I'll be frank.
Maybe we should just speak at next year's conference.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
the two. Yeah, the three. Yeah, we'll let
all
you
of
in.
us. Yeah.
All right, so as a thank you for you guys coming on our show, you guys have a little bit of time. You can speak to that camera right there, that camera, whatever camera you'd like to. Just let them know. Give them the lowdown on TED Talk. Tell them where they can find you guys, how they can figure it out.
Sure.
Go for it.
Find us on social media. The greatest thing ever since LMFAO and Squidward's drawings. You've got a Facebook, Twitter, and an Instagram. If you're part of any student organization, there is something we would definitely love to do. So we could hold a salon event together or what have you. So connect with us, and we hope to see you at our future events.
Keep your eye out for any flyers and buildings you might see. We'll be there all around all the buildings.
Yes.
But yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of Not Too Late. Special thanks to our guests from TEDx Indiana University. Tune in next week where I'm going to play patty cake with my old pal Jesse Eisenberg. And don't forget, it's not too late to save your semester grades. Have a great week, everybody. Hello, thank you for watching another episode of Not Too Late. If you want to see a previous episode, click over here. If you want to get notifications and stay updated whenever we post a new episode, subscribe right over here. Thank you for watching.